You know, I mean, me and you, who couldn't fight our way out of a wet paper bag, shouldn't allow another man to talk to us like that. So, the world heavy...
You know, that's when there's certain things that you say, you just don't say to fight. You don't cross the line in the fight, and I think...
I'm not saying that I condone that behaviour, because I don't.
It's all about, like I say, self-promotion, selling a fight, and if you can do that, then you're going to get more eyes on the sport, more eyes on the actual contest itself. So it's nothing new. It's really nothing new.
I didn't like it. Yeah. I want a press conference here to talk to the press, not to start screaming, effing and blinding, using language that they were using and doing all the stuff they were doing. No one wants that. I certainly don't want it, especially I'm stuck in the middle.
Jermaine Franklin just destroyed his own career with one slap, and the boxing world is absolutely losing its mind over what happened next. This wasn't just some heated exchange or trash talk gone wrong. This was a professional fighter completely losing control at a press conference in front of 500 people, 150 international media members, and cameras rolling from every angle. Franklin walked up to Moses Atama and slapped him across the face, and what followed was pure chaos. Security rushed in, entourages from both sides started moving, and for a terrifying moment, it looked like we were about to witness a full-scale brawl that could have injured dozens of people. But here's what nobody's talking about: this incident just exposed everything wrong with modern boxing, and Franklin might have just handed Moses Atama the biggest gift of his career.
Kept interrupting, but like when he actually spoke, he was compelling and he was believable. Like he means it. You know?
Let me break down exactly what went wrong here, because this is way bigger than just one fighter losing his temper. Duke McKenzie nailed it when he said there's a fine line between promotion and unprofessional conduct, and Franklin didn't just cross that line, he obliterated it. Look, we all know trash talk sells fights. Fighters build hype, create storylines, get fans invested. That's the business. There's a massive difference between talking trash and putting your hands on someone at a press conference. Franklin took the bait of modern boxing's hype machine and let it turn him into everything that's wrong with the sport today. He confused selling a fight with actually starting one, and that confusion just cost him everything. Because now, instead of people talking about his boxing skills or his chances against Moses, everyone's focused on his complete lack of professionalism and self-control.
People do that these days, but as ex-boxers, we don't want to fight for nothing. You want to get paid. That's what we used to do. We're prize fighters. We used to be guys running off at the mouth and talking rubbish all the time. That's just the norm, isn't it? These days, it's all about, like I say, self-promotion.
Here's where it gets absolutely wild. Derek Chisora pointed out that Franklin let a minor provocation completely destroy his composure, and he's right. But what was that provocation? What did Moses say or do that made Franklin think slapping him was the appropriate response? The answer is probably nothing significant, which makes this even more embarrassing. In a sport where mental toughness and discipline are supposed to be everything, Franklin showed he can be triggered by the smallest things. And get this, he did it in front of the worst possible audience. We're talking about seasoned promoters, veteran referees, boxing legends, and media from around the world. These are people who have seen everything the sport has to offer, and they were all stunned into silence by Franklin's actions. When you can shock people who have been around boxing for decades, you know you've really messed up.
They would have moved it on. So that probably triggered him with so much. So he said, went mad.
But wait, it gets worse. Robert Smith made it clear that boxing authorities got involved immediately, and that's when you know this isn't just going to blow over. These aren't people who overreact to every little incident. They've seen fighters get heated. They've seen press conferences get tense. They've dealt with all kinds of drama. But Franklin's slap was so far over the line that they had to step in right away. And here's the kicker. Every single professional in that room recognized how serious this was. We're talking about people who make their living in a sport where violence is literally the product, and even they were saying Franklin went too far. That should tell you everything you need about how badly he screwed up. Because when boxing professionals are saying you crossed the line with violence, you've really lost the plot.
There will be an appeal taking place, so that fine could be reduced or it could be increased. It goes in front of a completely independent appeal steward.
Now listen to this part, because Isaac Lowe's reaction reveals just how reckless Franklin really was. Getting in Moses' face in front of 500 people wasn't just disrespectful, it was dangerous and stupid. Lowe called it entirely avoidable, and he's absolutely right. Franklin had a choice in that moment. He could have kept his hands to himself, maintained his professionalism, and built hype the right way. Instead, he chose to create a situation that could have exploded into total chaos. And for what? What did he gain from slapping Moses? Nothing. He gained absolutely nothing except embarrassment, potential sanctions, and a reputation as someone who can't control himself under pressure. In professional boxing, respect and control aren't just nice to have, they're non-negotiable. Franklin threw both out the window in about 3 seconds.
Getting a man's face in front of a hall with over 500 people, what do you expect someone to do? Pushing and shoving, and we all know Big John's quick-tempered, you know what I mean? But he threw the headbutt first, so it is what it is, but I think...
Hold up, because Gareth Davies just exposed how close we came to a complete disaster. Picture this scene: 25 people in Moses' entourage, 25 in Franklin's, 150 international media members crammed into a mezzanine, cameras everywhere, and then Franklin throws that slap. Davies said we were seconds away from a full-blown brawl, and he's not exaggerating. When you have 50 people loyal to 2 different fighters in a confined space, and one fighter physically attacks the other, that's a recipe for someone getting seriously hurt. We're not just talking about the fighters here. We're talking about media members, promotional staff, security personnel, innocent people who could have been trampled or injured if this thing had escalated. Franklin's 3 seconds of stupidity could have resulted in hospitalizations, lawsuits, and a black eye for the entire sport that would have lasted years.
Huge brawl in there because both entourages are huge, about 25 in each team. There's about 150 international media here as well in the mezzanine floor. It was still dramatic anyway, but thankfully the security did a great job as well.
And get this, Eddie Hearn pointed out that security had to physically separate these guys, which means Franklin's actions made intervention inevitable. Gareth seen thousands of press conferences, dealt with every personality type in boxing, managed some of the biggest egos in the sport. For him to say Franklin's behavior required immediate security response tells you everything about how badly this situation deteriorated. But here's what's really crazy. Franklin did this with media cameras recording everything. Every angle, every reaction, every moment of chaos was captured in high definition and broadcast around the world. He didn't just embarrass himself in front of the people in that room. He embarrassed himself in front of every boxing fan on the planet. And in today's social media world, that footage is going to follow him for the rest of his career.
You honestly think if these two come together like this, well, you know what's going to happen?
So what you
I'm going to keep them.
Here's the thing that makes this even more insane. Frank Warren, one of the most experienced promoters in the business, absolutely hated what Franklin did. Warren's seen it all, promoted some of the biggest fights in boxing history, dealt with every kind of personality and situation you can imagine. For him to come out and say he despised Franklin's antics, that he didn't like the slap or the tension, that's a promoter essentially writing off a fighter publicly. Warren said the focus should be on the contest, not childish behavior, and he's right. But Franklin made that impossible. Instead of people analyzing fight styles and making predictions, everyone's talking about his complete lack of professionalism. Warren's reaction should terrify Franklin, because promoters don't forget this kind of thing. They don't want to work with fighters who create unnecessary drama and put people at risk.
I don't think anybody can beat me, especially with the team that I've got. I don't think anybody can beat me on my night. I think, obviously, nobody's invincible. Like, there's a possibility that it can go wrong. But I just think if you're talking about like on the odds, I just don't think anyone could be standing in front of me with my...
But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. While Franklin was losing his mind and destroying his reputation, Moses Atama was showing everyone exactly why he's the future of the heavyweight division. Roy Jones Jr., a legend who knows what elite mental toughness looks like, immediately noticed Moses' calm, composed energy throughout the entire week. Think about that for a second. Roy Jones Jr. is praising Moses' mindset and focus. This is a guy who fought at the highest level, who understands the mental side of boxing better than almost anyone alive. For him to specifically call out Moses' professionalism and mental clarity, that's huge. While Franklin was getting distracted by hype and letting his emotions control him, Moses was staying collected under pressure and showing the kind of maturity that separates good fighters from great ones.
Just going through the motion, he's serious about it, you know, so I liked it.
Yeah, like his energy was like...
Now here's what makes this matchup absolutely fascinating from a technical standpoint. And this is what people should be talking about instead of Franklin's slapping tantrum. Ade Oladipo broke down the subtle advantages that could decide this fight, and Moses has several key edges that Franklin's emotional outburst might have just made even more significant. Moses has a slight height advantage, better reach, and the kind of composure that allows him to capitalize on his physical gifts. But here's the kicker: Franklin's aggressive, forward pressure style might actually play right into Moses' hands if Moses can maintain his cool and counter effectively. And after seeing Franklin completely lose control at a press conference, how confident can we be that he'll keep his composure when Moses starts landing clean shots? Franklin just showed the entire world that he can be rattled, and Moses is exactly the kind of smart, composed fighter who knows how to exploit that weakness.
Problems to Jermaine, but they're probably around the same height, maybe Moses a couple of inches taller. I like this matchup. Stylistically, I like this matchup as well. Like, Jermaine comes to fight, and that could sort of fall into Moses' hands. In fact,
listen to this, because Frank Warren's take on this matchup reveals why this fight is so much more important than people realize. Warren called this pairing strategic brilliance, and he's absolutely right. This isn't just another fight thrown together to fill a card. This is a carefully curated test designed to push Moses while showcasing his skills against a legitimate opponent. Warren understands that meaningful development requires the right kind of challenges at the right time, and Franklin, despite his press conference meltdown, represents exactly that kind of challenge. He's experienced, he's tough, he's faced elite competition like Anthony Joshua and Dillian White. But here's what's beautiful about the timing: Franklin's emotional instability just gave Moses a massive psychological advantage going into what was already a favorable stylistic matchup.
In the meantime, I think we've put together a brilliant fight with Jermaine Franklin, the American. It's going to be a good fight. I think, with Moses and him, I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think it's a good test.
But Franklin isn't going down quietly, and his response to all this criticism actually makes the fight even more intriguing. Franklin Jr. is doubling down on his warrior mentality, saying he's fearless both inside and outside the ring, positioning Moses' relative inexperience as something he can exploit. This is classic psychological warfare, and you have to respect Franklin's refusal to back down. He's trying to turn his press conference disaster into motivation, framing himself as the grizzled veteran who won't be intimidated by a young prospect. The question is whether this bravado can translate into sustained success against someone as technically sound and mentally strong as Moses. Franklin's words are designed to intimidate, but after watching him lose control over basically nothing at a press conference, how intimidating can they really be?
I'm 50-50. Personally, it depends on what style he brings. So it's like, I think if he's like measured, then yeah. But if he does what I think he might try and do, which is I'm gonna show this guy, get inside and work, like clever shots, I don't think so. I think with someone like Moses, who is naturally so explosive and so quick and technical, he's got so many good attributes, but as we've seen with in any sport across any profession, that explosiveness, in my opinion, cannot happen for 12 rounds. It never happens.
Here's what Adam Smith said that should have every Moses Atama fan excited. He called Moses a complete package with hard-hitting power, technical soundness, and an imposing southpaw style that makes him extremely difficult to unsettle. Smith knows what he's looking at when he evaluates fighters, and his praise for Moses' composure and natural movement is significant. But Smith also raised the key question that makes this fight so compelling. Is this the perfect time for Moses to face a seasoned opponent like Franklin, or is it too soon? After Franklin's press conference meltdown, that question becomes even more interesting. Because Moses just got a master class in how not to handle pressure, and he can use Franklin's mistakes as a blueprint for what not to do when the lights get bright and the stakes get high.
Downer, who looks absolutely extraordinary, and for me he ticked all the boxes. I like his attitude, I like his style, southpaw, hard-hitting, moves so well. He's going to be very, very difficult to sort of deter. So it's an interesting one because, yeah, is this too soon for Moses, or is this just the right fight at the right time?
And here's why this fight is absolutely perfect for Moses' development. Ade Oladipo framed Franklin as the ideal opponent for this stage of Moses' career, and Franklin's recent behavior only reinforces that assessment. Franklin is a legitimate top 30 contender who's shared the ring with elite heavyweights, so beating him would be a genuine statement. But he's also shown clear weaknesses in composure and decision-making that Moses should be able to exploit. This gives Moses the opportunity to test himself against proven professional-level opposition while having clear advantages to work with. It's the kind of calculated risk that builds careers, and Franklin's press conference breakdown just shifted the risk-reward ratio heavily in Moses' favor.
Case of, let's see, 1, if we can get rounds. 2, can he do a better job than Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte did? Can he get rounds but also get him out of there? I guess that's kind of the question for Moses. But for me, this is the perfect bit of matchmaking. This is everything that fight fans have wanted. They want to see what happens when Moses Itama goes a few rounds, has someone who's
Tommy Knight and Dev Sahani nailed why this matchup is so crucial for Moses' trajectory. This fight will determine whether Moses can go rounds effectively while handling consistent pressure from an aggressive opponent. They compared the potential performance to what Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte achieved against Franklin, suggesting Moses has a chance to outshine both of them if he maintains his composure. And here's what makes that comparison so interesting. Both Joshua and Whyte had moments where Franklin's pressure bothered them and made them look less than elite. But Moses has already shown better composure under pressure than Franklin has, and that psychological edge could be the difference between a good performance and a statement-making one. But the most telling moment in this entire situation came from Moses himself, and it perfectly illustrates why he's going to be a problem for everyone in the heavyweight division. While Franklin was slapping people and losing his mind, Moses approached the fight with intense focus and respect for his opponent, treating it as his hardest challenge to date. He acknowledged the controversy around Franklin's past performances, including the split opinions on his fight with Dillian Whyte, but instead of dismissing Franklin, he used those uncertainties as motivation. That's the mindset of a mature, intelligent fighter who understands that underestimating opponents is how careers get derailed. Moses is taking this fight seriously, understanding that his performance will define his reputation and momentum in the heavyweight division. So there you have it. Franklin's slap heard around the boxing world just exposed everything wrong with his mentality while highlighting everything right about Moses Itama's approach. This isn't just about one press conference incident. It's about two fighters with completely different mindsets preparing for a fight that could define both of their careers. Franklin showed he can be rattled by minor provocations and makes terrible decisions under pressure. Moses showed he stays composed, respects his opponents, and approaches challenges with maturity and intelligence. The slap that was supposed to intimidate Moses might have just handed him the blueprint for victory. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. After seeing Franklin completely lose control at a press conference, do you think he has any chance of keeping his composure when Moses starts landing clean shots, or did he just show Moses exactly how to break him mentally? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this fight is going to be absolutely wild. I'll see you in the next one.